Hey guys, welcome to the Q with Q. It's me, your host, Quentin R. Giles. But since we are friends, you gotta call me Q. And if you're new to the podcast, we friends now. Hey, how you doing? I want to talk today about voting. Today is National Voters Registration Day. It is the 22nd of September. And we are trying to get people out here registered to vote. Okay, we need you to vote in this election. Because this one here, I just don't know what to do. You know, we have already done a podcast talking about RBG and what that means to the court and to one of the last guardrails that Donald Trump has not either bombarded or corrupted. So our other guardrail is the vote. And so since today is National Voters Registration Day, let's just talk about it. And let's talk about some things that are on my mind about, how do we get more people voting? What are some roadblocks to voting? And what that just looks like. And so the first thing that comes to mind is really education, right? To unpack and teach people why it is important for them to vote. And one of the biggest things for me is, or the way I look at voting, and for some of you who followed me for a while, you probably heard me say this before. I look at voting completely tied to my money, right? So I pay tax dollars, right? It is inevitable. You pay, well, some people do that tax evasion, baby. I don't do all those things, baby. I pays my taxes, okay? I pays unto Caesar what is to Caesar. So with my tax dollars, right, that come out of the money that I make, those tax dollars employ politicians. We really should stop calling them politicians because I think that's a part of giving them escape. They're public servants and they need to get back to public serving. But it funds public servants / politicians, right? Those people then get to go and legislate. What does that mean? Create laws that I then must abide by, right? So my tax dollars fund the people who make the laws, fund the things that they create, the government, the structure, all of that, right? And then I, as a person who has paid these tax dollars, must abide by the law on the books, whatever that is. So that means I'm paying people to tell me what to do. So I need to vote, okay? Because you're not just going to take my money and then just tell me any old thing and I don't have any say so on it. Like, no, man, Pam, we're not going to do those things. So that is how I look at voting. My money goes to this. And I want to know how I want to be able to choose how my money is being spent and what it goes to, right? So that means I have to participate in the voting season to elect those people that I think have my best interests at heart. Because not only are they taking my money, but they are going to create things that I must abide by, that I and my family and my future kids and my future spouse must abide by, and yours as well. And so that's how I look at it. And I think that could be a powerful way to explain to other people, to hopefully get them involved, because I think almost everybody cares about where their money goes to. Now, we may have a different level of penny pinching, if you will, or budgeting, if you will, but I think ultimately people, they care about what their money is doing, right? Because you have things you want to do, whether that's either pay bills or pay for entertainment. So you care about this stuff to some degree. And so I think that along with that, you should care about your vote, because your vote, you basically have prepaid. If you think about it, you've really prepaid to vote because you got to pay taxes. Your taxes get taken out. You go to the store, you buy some tax, all that stuff goes to the state. Your money gets spent in government. So I think that's one thing. I think also, breaking it down and showing people how consequential your vote is. So we don't blame people for things that happen. Well, depends on what happens, but let's take the pandemic, right? We can't really blame any politician here in America for coronavirus happening. Hear me clear. We cannot blame anybody for it happening. What we can blame is the response, right? We can blame, how did you respond to the crisis? And so one of my friends just said something offline that was important, because everybody's saying that this election is the most important election. Well, technically, every election is the most important election, because even if we vote Trump out of office, let's say something else happens in 2 years and we have a new president, that person is going to have to respond. And so we never know what's going to happen. So it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we vote for adequate and sufficient leadership, because we know things will happen and we need them to be able to respond to them appropriately to keep us safe and keep us moving forward, right? So every election is the most important election. But even just looking at this, even if you don't think your vote matters, well, it does. I dare say, I'm not a betting person. I don't bet. I don't like to gamble. Even when I lived in Vegas, baby, I wasn't $20 on the slot machine and that's it. When that 20 taps, baby, you're not going to get no more money up out of me, because I don't like to play with my money like that. But I would put some money. I would bet, even though Hillary Clinton was not my candidate, even though I was a Bernie bro back in 2016, turned Warrenite 2020, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, let me get back on track. I would bet money that her response would have been completely different than Trump's response to coronavirus, right? We wouldn't be talking about now a 200,000 death count in America. I just don't believe that. Now, we'll never know, but based on what she has shown me as a politician, right? Based on what she has shown me in her record, and based on what Trump has shown me even pre-pandemic, the response matters. And so how do we determine who gets to respond? By our vote, right? Protests in the street, president calling National Guard, president calling, military cops to turn on the people of the street. Votes matter. How would another president, another politician have responded to the civil unrest right now? Well, ongoing civil unrest, but more people are now, eyes are open. But just another point again, black people, we've been screaming about this, for years, since before I was born. Okay, since before I was born. But we appreciate you finally came to the party. Hey, how y'all doing? Take a seat. Don't try to sit in the front, okay? Because you just got here. Okay, don't be trying to come sit in the front. Sit down and listen to what we are saying. But again, it's the response, and so our votes are directly correlated with our leadership and how they either choose to or choose not to respond. And so I think that is very incumbent upon us to try to educate people in these things, and even breaking it down into micro realities with your vote, to your city council. What's going on in your city? Yes, federal government is important, and city and state and local is as well. I really disagree with the idea of people shouldn't pay attention to, the federal government. We need to, the state and localities, that's the more important election. It's not that it's more important. It's just important in a different way. They're all important. Every single election is important, but each one of them has a different implication to what happens. And so we need to start talking in real terms like that, because that is the real reality, that each political position will affect you in a different way. And that doesn't make one more important than the other. It just makes them imperative to different situations in your life. And so that still makes them all important, just differently. I was going to say differently important. Is that a right combo? Differently important makes them all important. I don't know. Anyway, and I'm not editing that out. Y'all just got a real inside look into how my brain thinks when I start thinking about stuff. I cock my head back and I start, is that correct? Did I say that right? Y'all get what I'm trying to say. So I think that's something that we need to do. I am going to take a quick break, and then once I take a little quick break, I'll be back on the other side and we'll finish the podcast. Welcome back, guys, to the Q with Q. It's me, your host, Q, or Quentin R. Giles. Please call me Q if you like, if we're friends. Not to be confused with QAnon, baby. We don't do no conspiracy theory over here. Baby, I don't know what that is. Don't confuse my stuff with them. Anyway. Before we left, we were talking about the importance of voting, because today is National Voters Registration Day. And I was just giving you some tips. Those are things that I'm trying to do, on my own platform, and try to talk to people in a just easy a way that's easy to understand why they need to vote, instead of one fear mongering like, oh, this is the most important election, it's so consequential, when in my view, and one of my friends just said this recently, every election is consequential when you think about it, because every person in a position of power that we elect they will have to respond to things that happen. They will have to lead the charge on certain things that happen. So technically everyone is the most important election when it comes up. and just kind of walking through that and talking through that and trying to get people, engaged in the political process to see that what they want actually is valid, and they have a right, a constitutional right, to vote for people that align with them and their ideology, align with them and their wants and their desires. And this is for Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party. Y'all know, again, if you've been here long enough, I am not one to try to take someone's vote. I say vote for who you think is best for you and your family. Now, I will debate you on some things, but I do think we need to step away from just like bashing people because they may be. I dare say a lot of my listeners are probably more liberal, Democratic, which left wing, if you will. But I do have some Republican listeners and some Republican followers on my page. They sometimes they won't comment in the comments. They'll comment in my DM because they're nervous that people will jump on them and attack them. But I try to make it a point to say, like, everyone is welcome to any one of my platforms, right? You can vote how you want to vote, but I will engage in civil discourse with you about certain things, and we'll. If we disagree, we disagree. And I'm okay with dissent. I'm not okay with disrespect, right? So I think that everyone is entitled to their vote, as long as, what you're advocating is not rooted in my oppression. That is a completely different conversation when we talk about, everyone and their vote and autonomy and all those things and my views on it. But I definitely believe, that some people could be really hard down core Republican because they view limited government in a certain way. And, some of those people could still view that there is a racial justice issue. And I think there is space that we need to make sure we allow space for those people to speak and not automatically write them off just because they are Republican. I do know, and then there's some other Republicans that's on that racist side that just want to make America great again. Now those, I don't have any space to talk to you because what you're advocating is rooted in my oppression and we can't do those things. But I say all that to say, I think that everyone should vote the way that they feel will benefit them and the people around them in their community and their neighbor. Well, to my Christian brothers and sisters, we need to be voting with our neighbor in mind. To people who are not Christian, you're not held to the same standard, per the scripture. So, vote for what you think is best for you and your family. But, there still may be some room and you still may want to vote for things that would benefit your community and people as well, outside of yourself. And so we welcome that as well. And I think that we just need to create space for those things. But I think we need to have real conversations about what voting means and what it looks like, and not fearmonger people into voting one side or the other, and really give them real practical, I guess you would say, mental strands of what your vote is connected to. So for me, y'all know I'm definitely not voting for Trump, and that's on period. Definitely, I'm pretty much sold on Biden. I don't want to, because that's not my guy. Yes, he did even put Kamala Harris on the ticket. I get that. I was excited for a day, trust me, like I was excited for the day, and then I was like, yeah, but she still wasn't my candidate either. Like, I'm really not that excited. Like, I wanted Elizabeth Warren so bad, but I need to stop talking about that because she's not even on the ballot. She's not even here, so why do I keep going back to it? But, in this moment, I have to look at my vote strategically, right? And even though I don't like Biden as a candidate, and this is not a purity test type of deal, it's just he doesn't fully align with what I want, I am viewing this as I absolutely do not want Trump. And there are some things that Biden has moved on that I can get with, especially his plan for Black people in America. He has a plan on his website, I think it's called Lift Every Voice plan. You could definitely go read it. It's kind of lengthy, which is good. That's why I'm not going to read it down. But there are some points that stick out to me, like student loan relief for Black folks and access to the housing market and all these red line districts and reforms and all those things. So there are some things that I'm like, okay, cool. I'm all in on that. I'm buying into that. You know what I'm saying? That aligns. Do we fully align? No, but that aligns. I don't align with nothing that Trump do. Not one thing. Well, here's the thing. You know what? Let's talk about this for a quick second. The tax break. I had a conversation with my pastor about this a while ago. And as most of you know, I'm an entrepreneur. And I will say this, that the tax break that was done back when there was a Republican House and Senate, I think between 2016 and 2018, I can't remember what year they did it, but when Paul Ryan was still the Speaker of the House, I can't deny that that tax break that they put in has helped me financially, right, when I go and do my taxes. However, I still see it as being disproportionately advantageous to the wealthy. And not enough people are benefiting from that, even though I am. And so, ooh, excuse me, I don't have no corona. And so I can still look at that and say, hey, that thing is benefiting me, but I don't agree with it because it's not enough of me benefiting from it. And that's how I look at it. Like, yeah, absolutely, I want to benefit, but that doesn't mean I want to leave my people back in the neighborhood that and just be like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all need to, come be an entrepreneur, whatever. Everybody's not meant to do what I'm doing, right? We all have our different callings. And so I think that what we need to be able to do is look at some things and say, hey, yeah, that is advantageous for me. Now, again, this is for me and my Christian brothers and sisters because we are held to the, love God and love your neighbor. So I can't look at my neighbor and see and just be like, well, the tax break works for me, so keep the tax break. No, I mean, I want it to work for me, but I want it to work for all of us as well. And that's not what it did. Sorry, y'all. I went on kind of like a little tangent. I forgot the point I was trying to make. Man. Okay, let's move on. That's what happened when you on your podcast laying down too comfortable and not in front of no notes. That's what happens. But I say all that to say, voting is super important. Voting is super important for many different reasons. Oh, because I was saying there's nothing that Trump did that I like. Yeah, I don't agree with anything, even though I benefit from his tax break. But even in that benefit, I don't agree because it does not help enough people. It only helps those at the top. And I'm by no means at the top, but because I'm self-employed, there are certain provisions in that tax break. In that tax law that helped people that were unemployed. But I can still look at it and say, okay, well, we need to do something. We need to expand this. We need to pull down from the top because there's too much tax break up there and get some tax break to the little people down here. So I say that to say I ain't voting for Trump. I know that for a fact. But I need other people to be engaged as well. And if I'm going to convince people to see things the way I see things, I cannot come from a position of attacking folks. I don't think that works. It doesn't work for me. I've had people try to attack me and I don't know how you attack somebody to try to convince them to come onto your side. That just don't make sense. Like, who? What? No. But finding language that resonates with people and finding out what people care about and showing them, okay, hey, so this is one thing that you really care about. Did you know X, Y, and Z? This is tied this way, and you should probably vote because it could benefit da 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 da. Right? So I think it is incumbent upon all of us that are doing this work, that are trying to get more people politically involved, get them engaged, to find ways to connect with people and make it easy for them to understand why their vote matters. Okay, that's enough rambling. That's enough rambling for the day. I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you all for commenting. Definitely go to the Instagram page. You can check me out at The Q with Q. On TikTok, I'm at Quentin Giles. On Twitter, I'm at The Q with Q. And YouTube. I'm going to start doing more YouTubes. And the Patreon. If you're not on the Patreon, you need to get on the Patreon so you can get some behind the scenes exclusives and all of that on my Patreon. If you tap any of the links in my bio on any of my social platforms, you will see exclusive content, Patreon, and you can go there and sign up. Thank you all so much again for all the support and love and the comments, whether they are in agreement or dissent. We encourage dissent, but we do not encourage disrespect. Until next time, this is The Q with Q with me, your host, Quentin R. Giles. But since we're friends, you know what to call me. Talk to y'all later.